Jimmy Page was in a relationship with a 14-yeyear-old. Anthony Kedis again.
Don't forget.
Crawling up her skirt, and the rest of the band.
Toilet piss. Excuse me. I'm engaged to this woman.
Get that little pork pie hat off. You look like a fucking idiot. The man wrote, recorded, and released a semi-autobiographical file joke, and then campaigned with Rick Perry. I want to share with you some rock guys who stink, okay? Ian Watkins, he's the singer from the band Lost Prophets, or he was the singer for the band Lost Prophets. I was never a Lost Prophets fan anyway. No, I'll just put it like that. So anyway, look, former Lost Prophets singer and convicted child sex offender killed in UK prison attack, media report says. Yep, that's Ian Watkins, okay? And what exactly did he do? He was convicted in 2013 after pleading guilty to 13 charges. He admitted 2 attempted rape, sexually assaulting a child under 13, aiding and abetting the sex of a child under 13, conspiring to a child under 13, and conspiring to sexual child under 13. Holy shit. Okay. So he was a, huge fucking piece of shit. He had also pleaded guilty to 6 counts of taking and possessing indecent images of children and 1 of possessing extreme pornographic images. Yeah. Huge piece of shit. Yeah. Kermit, he's evil. He's just like a piece of shit. Absolutely. That's why I didn't even want to I didn't even want to basically pull him up because he's just he is such a piece of shit. We're going to talk about some guys who have done some stuff. It's also pretty evil. Ian Watkins, if you're not familiar with him, good. Don't get familiar with him. He's dead anyway. So fuck off, bozo. But let's talk about some people that you are familiar with. Okay. And the first one I want to talk about is Axl Rose. Okay. We're going to be talking about a lot of people who are, basically a part of this cult of personality that can come with rock music. I mean, it comes with anything. We're looking at people obviously within the confines of music, but this can happen to anyone with power, and in any power imbalance, this can absolutely happen. But it just happened to be back when there was really, I feel like the cult of personality is a lot smaller than it was back in the 70s, 60s. I feel like because we have so much access to other musicians, we can, music we like, Spotify or whatever, we can see way more independent artists, and there's less yes, there were still tons of bands in the 70s and the 60s and the 80s, but you were limited to what was at the record store or what you knew about, Obviously, Guns N' Roses was a huge act in the 80s and 90s. Former model Sheila Kennedy has sued Guns N' Roses frontman Axl Rose for alleged sexual battery. So according to her lawsuit, the popular rock musician attacked her during a violent hotel room encounter in New York in 1989. Miss Kennedy was diagnosed with anxiety and depression due to the alleged assault, the lawsuit says. Mr. Rose's representatives did not respond to BBC News requests for comment. Ms. Kennedy seeks damages from Mr. Rose for intentional infliction of emotional distress and gender-motivated violence, her lawsuit says. Her attorneys have requested a jury trial. The lawsuit was filed in the New York Supreme Court days before the expiration of a law that allows sexual assault survivors to file lawsuits against their alleged attackers no matter when the original statute of limitations expired. Thank fucking God. Miss Kennedy said in her complaint that she was a 26-year-old model for Penthouse magazine when she met Mr. Rose in a New York City nightclub in early 1989. The musician physically and sexually assaulted her in his hotel suite hours later, she alleges in the lawsuit. Alan S. Gutman, Mr. Rose's attorney, rejected Miss Kennedy's allegations in a statement to CNN. Simply put, this incident never happened, said Gutman, who added that Mr. Rose had no recollection of ever meeting Miss Kennedy. The suit states that Mr. Rose invited Miss Kennedy and another model to a party of alcohol and drugs in his hotel suite. Though Miss Kennedy, just an innocent fucking, yeah, I bet he didn't want to, have sex with her. He was just inviting her to an innocent night of alcohol and drugs. Though Miss Kennedy said she did not mind an initial encounter with Mr. Rose in which he pushed Kennedy against the wall and kissed her, her view of the rock star changed as the night progressed. According to the lawsuit, Miss Kennedy witnessed Mr. Rose engaged in sex with the other model in a manner that was aggressive and that appeared painful for the model. Afterward, the lawsuit alleges Guns N' Roses vocalist physically assaulted Miss Kennedy in an angry confrontation. It claims he grabbed her by the hair and dragged her across the suite back to his bedroom. Miss Kennedy alleges she was bleeding and tried to leave, but Mr. Rose restrained her and proceeded to her. Holy fuck. Since the attack, Miss Kennedy has suffered lifelong emotional, physical, psychological, and financial impacts, and she has developed symptoms akin to post-traumatic stress disorder when hearing Guns N' Roses music, the complaint alleges. Dr. Ann Oliviaris, who who was representing Miss Kennedy, alleged the music industry had enabled similar examples of misconduct. She said she'd hoped Miss Kennedy's bravely helps other victims find their voice and will serve as an important turning point for the music industry. Miss Kennedy first described aspects of the alleged incident in her 2016 autobiography, No One's Pet, and in the 2021 documentary, Look Away, which details claims of the abuse that she suffered in the music industry, Rolling Stone magazine reported. Mr. Rose has faced allegations of abusive behavior in the past. Past partners Aaron Everly and Stephanie Seymour accused Mr. Rose of physical abuse in a 1994 cover story of People magazine, which Miss Kennedy noted in her lawsuit. Absolute scumbag. And I believe absolutely every allegation there. Ajax, no recollection, aka Drunken High. Yeah, Ginger Snacks and parasocial fandoms with pop stars to the point of having names for fans like, Swifties and Stans. Yeah, exactly. That's a great point, right? When you hear something like a Swiftie or a Stan, yeah, that's like literally this cult of personality. That's such a power dynamic. Even if the person had no money, like there's a power dynamic there always, right? I mean, there's so many different power dynamics that exist within like everything we do day to day, right? I mean, like even here, there's a power dynamic between me as the streamer and you guys as the chat, right? And to not be aware of these things and respectful of them, and like that's what everybody needs to do as we move forward. Obviously, it's a very easy thing that we can all do on a smaller scale, but understanding where and what kind of powers exist are in play in every small situation is important. This kind of stuff just happens every day. I don't want to get too lost in the weeds there. But that's Axl Rose, okay? Ginger Snack says, oh yeah, there's admittance in Axl's book. I read bad books. I've read tons of autobiographies, especially when I was a kid. But either him or one of the bandmates did essay when starting the band. Nothing about this is surprising. Yeah, exactly. Bubba Blizzard, they didn't even have a gun nor Rose's player in their band. Farting posers. Yeah. I always say this in all my videos. You guys obviously know this, like, and I think people in general know this. I think people are smarter than a lot of people give them credit for. But like, you don't get all your info from one place. You don't take anything as like, like I am just here for entertainment. Nothing I say should be taken as like, that's the end of that. That's the end of my thought process. That's as far as I'm going to go there. You can hear something from a streamer and be like, oh, I'm going to go look up some more about that. Or like, whatever you see, you engage with on the internet. Right? Like the other week when we talked about the stone skipping championships, right? Like, I told you guys a lot of facts about that. I hope you didn't just take my word for it. I hope you followed up and did a little extra research about that. Did you do your homework? I hope you did. Cornella, I'm not surprised, but still disappointed. Yeah. I mean, it sucks. That's the thing that's hard. And we have these conversations about separating art and artists and like which approach do you take and all that. And it's really hard. It's a difficult conversation to have, especially when you've grown up with music and like you have some sort of connection. Continuing on that front there, I want to talk about somebody who is also pretty fucking awful and scummy and probably deserves to be talked about a little more. Because they continue a lot of this weird stuff for like, in this day and age. So we're going to talk about 1 out of 10 dentists recommend using Hellion as a definitive source. That's probably true. I do a lot of anti-dentist propaganda only because like anybody who makes it their life goal to have me pay them for the fine pleasure of spending time in my mouth, I don't trust that person. That's all I'll say about Anthony Kedis of the Red Hot Chili Peppers. And as a matter of fact, Anthony Kedis, beyond just Anthony Kedis, the Red Hot Chili Peppers all pretty fucking awful, weird dudes. But let's get into this, okay? Indecent exposure to underage girls and sexual battery, the uncomfortable truth about Anthony Kedis. Now, he's especially an underage girl guy, and we're going to talk about that a little bit, okay? The Red Hot Chili Peppers singer Anthony Kedis has lived an extraordinary life. Nothing about his existence has been ordinary, and his 2004 autobiography, Scar Tissue, reads like a work of fiction. There are plenty of tales detailed in the book that are truly hard to comprehend. While this unconventional background has made him the fearless maverick able to strut around the stage with his band, there's also a darker side to Kiedis' life, including one despicable act he committed in his 20s. Cornella, I never trusted Hump de Bump do Bop guy. That's such a funny Anthony Kiedis term. Hump de Bop do Booba Dee de Bop do. To say that Kiedis lived through an abnormal childhood would be an understatement in the century. In truth, it's a miracle that he is even alive today, let alone part of one of the most successful bands on the planet. However, the difficulties that he's faced are no excuse for a track record of abhorrent behavior. Until he was 12, this is driving me nuts. I hate that. God damn. Until he was 12, Kiedis lived in a relatively normal, modest lifestyle in Michigan with his mother. However, every summer he would visit his father in Hollywood for 2 weeks, and the insanity of California captivated him. When he made the decision to live with his father full-time, his childhood was immediately over. At the time, Kiedis' father was unsuccessfully attempting to make it as an actor, working under the alias of Blackie Dammit. Whoa. Holy fuck. However, in a bit of desperation, Dammit returned to selling drugs to the stars when acting work failed to materialize. As a result, hard substances were around Kiedis from a young age, with him and his father regularly snorting cocaine together or smoking weed when the budding singer was barely a teenager. Harrowingly, the first time that Kiedis used heroin, he was just 14 years old. Understandably, it was a life-changing moment that occurred after mistaking the unidentified powder for cocaine in the house, which would lead to decades' worth of opiate abuse. The lines between right and wrong have been blurred in Kiedis' head since childhood, a factor that continued into adulthood. Undoubtedly, he had a troubled upbringing, but the singer has also caused others significant trauma, which has likely stuck with them for the rest of their lives. Anthony Kedis' dark past and the controversies that followed. In 1986, Kiedis began a relationship with the actor Lone Skye, the daughter of Donovan, who was just 16 when they started dating, which meant she was a minor in the state of California. At the time, Kiedis was around 24, and the two stayed together for several years. And don't worry, this is like the least of his age gap problems here, okay? Furthermore, Kiedis even included a nude picture of the couple in his autobiography. However, that relationship looks relatively innocuous in comparison to another that Kiedis owned up to in Scar Tissue, a relationship that inspired Red Hot Chili Pepper song Catholic Schoolgirls Rule. The material arrived after Kiedis met a fan backstage at a concert in Louisiana. They had a whirlwind romance, which continued even after he discovered her age. The next day, we drove down to Baton Rouge, and of course she came with us, Kiedis wrote. After we got off stage, she came up to me and said, "I have something to tell you. My father's the chief of police, and the entire state of Louisiana is looking for me because I've gone missing. Oh, and besides that, I'm only 14. Kiedis continued, "I wasn't incredibly scared because in my somewhat deluded mind, I knew that if she was..." Yeah, this banner in the middle is fucking killing me. Holy moly. Oh, man. Holy shit. The next day, Kiedis continued, "I wasn't incredibly scared because in my somewhat deluded mind, I knew that if she told the chief of police she was in love with me, he wasn't going to have me taken out to a field and shot. But I did want to get her the hell back home right away. So we had sex one more time." Holy fuck, man. Holy shit. And I mean, why is he's get that little pork pie hat off. You look like a fucking idiot. Kiedis himself was statutorily raped by his father's girlfriend when he was also 14, and his adolescence seemingly left him with a warped view of reality, and one that has proven to result in highly troubling incidents. And while, Kiedis is obviously a victim in that regard, that doesn't give anybody the excuse to victimize. Kiedis, in 1989, in a separate incident during the man's Mother's Milk tour, Kiedis was convicted of sexual battery after a show at George Mason University. According to the accusations, he exposed himself and touched his crotch to a woman's face against her wishes. Kiedis was also convicted of indecent exposure and was fined $1,000 on each misdemeanor charge. An archived contemporary article from the Washington Post confirms the charge. Kiedis claimed that the incident was blown way out of proportion by both the media and the prosecution immediately after. "It was a playful thing that happened backstage. There was never any harmful intention," he added. "Speaking for my band and myself, we're all very friendly people who would never want to hurt anybody or make people uncomfortable." While the incidents occurred over 30 years ago, Kiedis has yet to publicly apologize for his actions and show remorse for what he did during his early adulthood. It also wouldn't be the last time the Chili Peppers would be caught in harassment claims or accusations of inappropriate behavior. In a 2016 essay, former Epic's record executive Julie Farman described how two of the band members allegedly harassed her in the company's storage room in 1990. That same year, Kiedis' bandmates, Flea and Chad Smith, were arrested for lascivious behavior, battery, and disorderly conduct in 1990 after picking a woman out of the crowd and allegedly trying to rip off her bathing suit. The band had a reputation for being sex-obsessed party animals, but the music business too easily brushed it off as a personality gimmick, not an indicator of real-life actions. Kiedis has often treated the past like a backstage anecdote. Chaotic, half glamorized, half regretted, but rarely confronted. There's an obvious tension in how he tells these stories, as if he's still unsure whether they're cautionary tales or rock folklore. What's missing, though, is the weight. The real sense is that some of these memories left more damage than scars. For someone who built a career on honesty, there's a strange hollowness in the way the hardest truths are handled, and something that will likely come to the fore once more. Moreover, a glimpse into what can easily be perceived as a total lack of remorse. The controversial song Catholic Schoolgirls Rule was brought out of retirement briefly by the band in 2007 despite the core subject matter, suggesting a lack of regret about his actions. These uncomfortable truths continue to be a dark cloud that hangs over his career. The thing about the Red Hot Chili Peppers is they've been documented being weird too on TV. I have a couple clips I want to share with you guys real quick.
Except that you have the added pressure of the whole world watching every move that you're making. Back off, baby.
I'm just getting the little kiss.
No.
Kiss the size.
Oh, God.
All right, this is a little kiss.
You know, people are watching this. You're making me blush.
You're making me blush. You're not blushing. You're making Flea blush.
You know,
I'm blushing.
Do you know how many letters I'm going to get because people are going to yell at me that I insisted that you kissed me? Do you know how
She told
it
me
gets...
before the interview if I didn't kiss her that she would not come and see us play tonight. So.
Can I ask you guys something? And I'm probably going to get myself in trouble for asking this.
Okay, so that's the first clip. From the same interview, we have this.
Any other Canadian connections with the band?
With the band?
Yep.
Well, I think we made one with you now.
Yes.
I'm going to tell you a little secret about Erica. She shaves her pubic hair into a mohawk.
You stop it.
It's true.
You know, just because the show is live and we can't edit these things out.
But I'm just sharing a little secret with the listening audience.
Do you want to have a question from one of the guys outside?
Yeah, I want to talk to the guy with the dildo.
All right.
Stop it now. We're going to have to stop the interview. Stop it.
He's the one who's got the dildo.
He's the one.
Okay, but
Okay, can y'all hear us?
Yeah.
you just pick the guy that you want to ask a question or the girl,
Okay,
whoever.
the guy with his fly open and slip banging his head, that guy.
Okay, Charles Manson, what would you like to say?
One question. You can ask a question.
Ask
We
a
can hear
question,
you.
Charles.
My clothing store.
Can you put it up, Sylvie?
Crank it, Sylvie.
Okay, say it up. Put it up.
What'd he say?
Question?
I got a clothing store right up the street. If you guys come all the shit you want free.
A clothing. This is not a promotional spot. This is
man, this is your
this
chance
is
to ask him.
intellectual intercourse.
Well, wait, hold on. I'm into a free pair of shoes or something.
You want some free shoes? You over there in the glasses. What's your question today? You. Yes.
Ask a question.
What's on your mind? What did he say? When's the last time I ejaculated into Melvin Marcos'
Stop
shoes?
it! Stop it! Okay, we're going to end this interview now because you're causing big trouble. I
was just repeating the question.
Do you know that?
I was just repeating the
I've waited
question.
my whole life to do that, to end an interview because fans have misbehaved, and you've given me the absolute
No, we're
opportunity.
perfect gentlemen.
Yeah, you are.
Say
Okay,
something.
no.
Say something to me.
No.
Say anything.
No, 'cause
He's a
you're
gentleman. No, he's a
troublemakers now.
gentleman.
Hey, have I said
No.
anything that's slightly offensive once?
You do have slobber on your
I'm very slobber.
No,
It's
you
three
actually
orange
just wait.
juice.
It's him that's a troublemaker.
I'm not a troublemaker.
You're a troublemaker.
I'm not a troublemaker.
How much does the controversy help the band?
What's controversy?
All of them.
We don't have any controversies.
Oh, okay.
You're controversial. You're really pissing me
Oh,
off.
come on now.
And you know, I've been arrested for doing less.
Oh, yes. Is that it? We ended and you right like that? Come on, go.
What I won't do for you, I've done at half price for others.
Thank you very much. This is a Red Hot Chili Peppers High Ground, and we're going to end this interview right
Yeah.
now. No, it is your trouble.
No,
Go
not
play the
trouble.
video. Go play the
Yeah. This the Red Hot Chili Peppers are just famously awful. And I'm gonna show you one more I'm going to show you one more clip of them doing one other interview where you can kind of see all of the members of the band being absolute creeps. It's not just an Anthony Kedis thing. They're kind of all they're kind of all
Lambada. Ah, right. That's the end of the show. Thank you very much indeed. Out this way.
Okay, so a little context. This is the guy's show. That woman in the red that he was just dancing with, that's actually his wife.
Indeed. Lambada. Yeah, lambada.
Right. Okay, so that's him dancing with his wife.
Ah, right. That's the end of the show. Thank you very much indeed. Out this way. Cleo, can you lambada over there with him? Is that okay? He does it rather well too. Ah, now that's nearly the end of the show. I'm sorry about that, Cleo. I had to. What is it? Is he good? Is it pretty? Oh, excuse me, just a minute. Wait. Sorry, Cleo. No.
Like, they literally got members of the staff trying to pull Anthony Kedis off.
Normally at this, you all right there, Cleo? Because I'm making sure. Don't help, will you? No. You leave it to me. As if I bounce any more pop stars out of here, I'm going to get myself a very bad reputation.
I've got a lovely foot here.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, for goodness sake. Hang on, just a minute. She's falling out of her dress, for God's sake. Don't help, will you?
No.
I'm peeping. All right?
Thank you so much.
Okay. Next week, we'll delve into the realms of art, for art's sake. And these are the Red Hot Chili Peppers. You're probably going to see a lot more of the Red Hot Chili Peppers before we finish.
Oh, this is the man who's doing the vasectomy on Atlantic 252.
Live music on the
There's Anthony Kedis again.
Don't forget...
Crawling up her skirt.
A year's supply of...
And the rest of the band
toilet piss,
fucking
tissue.
loving her
And I'm on in
head.
Acton on the 20th of June. But apart from that, have we said
Excuse me. I'm engaged to this woman. Could you say... Have a nice weekend. Bye. Look, please, for goodness sake. Back next week. Mom. What's happening in art, what's not? Send in your art. Vasectomy on the radio. Excuse me. Look, for goodness sake, how can anybody with all this long hair... like that?
What the fuck, man? Crazy. Absolutely insane. Gross dudes. Yeah, 90s was the best era. Yeah, exactly, right? This is like the shit people are like, man, you're rock and rolling like it used to be. You used to be able to fucking put your head up someone's skirt, you know? Fucking rock and roll. Fucking gross shit. Yeah, so the Red Hot Chili Peppers are all pretty gross. And, I mean, like... It's quite interesting, with these clips existing and stuff, because, like, Chad Smith has a daughter now and stuff, and, like, it's just so weird I can't imagine these kids, like, ever coming across this stuff and just being like, wow, like, my dad's really creepy for that. Because, like, whatever, they may be different or whatever now, but, like, that shit, I don't know, man. These guys, they're bad, right? But let me tell you about the ultimate weirdos. Okay. Now, first, I'm gonna do not the final boss, but we're gonna talk about Ted Nugent. All right. Already, who's Ted Nugent for? Right. This guy, crazy psycho. If you don't know who Ted Nugent is, you're better off that way. But he's, Republican. He's kind of become like a Republican rock talking head guy. I don't even know. He's an insane person. And he used to have a song called Jailbait when he was younger. So let's just read about this, really quick here. So another campaign appearance, another Ted Nugent controversy. This is when he was on the Trump campaign or whatever. Or, I'm sorry, one of the Republican senators he was touring with. Another campaign appearance, another Ted Nugent controversy, mainstream Republicans and everyone to their left are appalled by. But no one is surprised. Nugent's incendiary rhetoric, read infamous idiocy, is at this point expected and tiresome. It has become difficult to muster the outrage. More unfortunate is that these incidents have had the unintended side effect of protecting Nugent from a far bigger character issue. In fact, the case of Nugent we have come to see alleged child sexual abuse as some sort of eccentricity or harmless vice. Can you imagine anyone else who had been accused of having sex with a 12-year-old, written a song about having sex with, oh God, raping a 13-year-old and adopted a 17-year-old so that he could have sex with her, going on to campaign alongside all the most conservative family values candidates? Yes, I can't imagine that. That's actually like, yeah, no, that they love that stuff. So to have a guy who writes songs about it, yeah, that's like, absolutely. Of course I can imagine that. When Ted Nugent was 32 years old, he released the song Jailbait. Here's a taste of the lyrics written by him. Well, I don't care. No, I'm not going to do that. Well, I don't care if you're just 13. You look too good to be true. I just know that you're probably clean. Jailbait, you look fine, fine, fine. It's quite all right. I asked your mama. Wait a minute. Officer, don't put those handcuffs on me. Put them on her, and I'll share her with you. No wonder right-wingers love this guy. Come on. Yeah, more surprising is that he's not in jail. Absolutely, Ajax. Don't get me wrong, I'm not above a really sick joke. In fact, I love them. I even think that the pedophile joke in Eternal Sunshine is kind of funny, and it's supposed to be bad. But this one isn't funny, especially coming from Nugent. 2 years before recording Jailbait, Ted Nugent had the novel idea of becoming a legal guardian to his 17-year-old, so that they could have sex without, having her parents, or without legal recourse from her parents, They acquiesced. I guess they figured better Ted Nugent than some drug-infested punk in high school, he told VH1 years later. In the same documentary, he claimed to have had several relationships with young girls, and seemed to brag about gaining their parents' approval too, though he didn't go so far as to adopt any of them. That sounds an awful lot like that line in Jailbait, the one where he urges the cop to handcuff the girl so they can both, share her there. Wrap your mind around that for a moment. The man wrote, recorded, and released a semi-autobiographical pedophile joke, and then campaigned with Rick Perry. Oh my God, holy shit. 17 is not 13. I'm not going to pretend that it is, or that an adult relationship with a 17-year-old to prove that someone is oh no, we're not going into that. Look, okay, we don't have to read the rest of this article. You see what happened there, okay? But that's Ted Nugent, all right? Insane stuff, but he's not really so relevant anymore. Did he gain some sort of following? Can we say he was part of some sort of cult of personality? Yes, we can. But when it comes down to it, there's one guy who's really at the top of the crop when it comes to that specific kind of crime, and that would be Jimmy Page of Led Zepplin. All right? Now, for those of you who don't know, Jimmy Page was in a relationship with a 14-year-old. This is Lori Maddox. I believe the movie Dazed and Confused was somewhat based on her a little bit or something. I'm not 100% sure. But if you look in this photo, that is a 14-year-old child right there. So, former baby groupie and model Lori Maddox opened up about her relationship with Led Zeppelin icon Jimmy Page in Bob Spitz's new biographical book about Led Zeppelin. Her statements about Page will probably cause a backlash from the band's fans, as the relationship started when she was very young. Lori Maddox started to hang out in different clubs such as Whiskey A Go-Go, Rainbow Bar, and Grill, Rodney Bergenheimer's English Disco, and many more with her friend Sable Starr, who was defined as the queen of groupies. Maddox was only 14 years old when she was introduced to the famous musician David Bowie. Later, Maddox revealed that she lost her virginity to Bowie and had her first threesome with him. Yeah, Ajax, thankfully my favorite Led Zeppelin song is No Quarter by Tool. That's a good cover. Also, Maddox was considered to be one of the most desired and beautiful baby groupies at that time. So she attracted the attention of other musicians such as Jimmy Page, Mick Jagger, and many other rock stars. The young girl's relationship with the Led Zeppelin guitarist started when she was 14 and lasted for more than a year. Their controversial affair ended up as a sad story for her when she saw Jimmy Page with another groupie named Bebe Buell in bed. These stories of baby groupies started to draw more and more attention after the Me Too movement, so the famous author Bob Spitz shared exclusive details about them in his latest biography, entitled Led Zeppelin, The Biography. In the book, Lori Maddox said everyone knew that Page liked young girls. It was published on November 9, 2021, and the writer highlighted that the remaining Led Zeppelin members, Robert Plant, John Paul Jones, and Jimmy Page, decided not to talk with him about these issues. Here's what Maddox said. He was 29. I was 14. It was no secret he liked young girls. Bob Spitz added, "They didn't need to say why. The Me Too movement broke, and the next day, my cooperation dried up." Unfortunately, most musicians and their fans saw having sexual or love affairs with underage girls as a normal incident during the rock and roll's breakthrough era, but almost every one of them later admitted that it was wrong. However, this didn't change the fact that many young girls were sexually and psychologically abused by the elders. Some of them said that they had consent. Lori Maddox was part of the Los Angeles groupie scene in the early 1970s. According to Maddox, Page became infatuated with her and had Rhodey bring Maddox up to his suite at the L.A. Hyatt House. He was wearing this hat over his eyes and holding a cane, she remembered. He looked just like a gangster. It was magnificent. Maddox was amazingly just 14 when she met Page, though Page did what he could to keep the relationship hidden. Yeah, he tried to hide it. Even in the swinging 70s, this kind of thing could put you in jail, but with no TMZ or US Weekly, Page got away with it. Super gross. Super gross. So those are the disgusting men of rock and roll that your dads like, that all our dads like, that suck. And, there's a lot of bands in there that I like too. Obviously, that's not a comprehensive list. There's plenty of others, and we'll talk about more at a later date. But yeah, the cult of personality that dictated that these people, would face no punishment for the things that they do, unfortunately still exists within our society.